Hello everyone, Achadino here. So now we have the new 10.2 changes. First, I will read them and then give my first thoughts after talking a little bit with the people on the Discord. I'm going to talk mainly about Subletly, but I will also see Assassination and Outlaw more or less a little bit. So first of all, the Tinol Rogue. Now you know that this gate before was on the third row and now it's on the fourth row. That means there's a lot more freedom in what you can choose. Not everything is damaged now. There are very good things like sprint is back to being 1 minute without having to sacrifice much. It also lasts longer and we get extra speed. That's really good. So now, first of all, sap is baseline. This is not that important. Shift increase damage. This is really good. Featherfoot is the one that I shown just now. This is really good also for PvP because it stacks with the extra 20% on the non-damaging effects. So now we can get 70 something percent crippling. That's really good. Feint having one additional charge, it's amazing. Why? Because people usually use cheat death, but if you talent elusiveness, that means you can get this 20% wall kinda without having the problem of not having it for an AoE. Usually you would use like feint on AoE things, but with elusiveness you can use feint now on AoE things and on normal things, and if they are back to back or somewhat closer, now you don't have the problem of having to choose which one you want to use feint on. It's really huge for survivability. Shout of Concealment, now 50% reduced cooldown. This may be big for some skips. Instead of 6 minutes, you can get 3 minutes. Things like Academy will be interesting with this, I guess. Vigor is a little bit stronger now. If you want, you can choose it, and now instead of having 150 energy, you can have 200 for classes that use pooling, like Destination or Outlaw. Outlaw not that much, I think, but having 200 energy for Outlaw might be interesting. Deadly Precision, it's now 5%. It's a choice node with Brilliant Poisons. We're likely getting a sub 5% more. It's really good. Same with Lethality, that didn't change. Now, Nerves, it's 5% less physical. This is really good because, as you know, we are a leather class and we don't have much armor, so we take a lot of damage from physical hits. So now, instead of 3%, it's 5%. Really good. Reverberation, it's now 100%. I think still Resounding Clarity for sub is really good. So it's not likely that we get Reverberation, but now it does more damage. Equine Reprimand, now it's 3, 4, 5 instead of 2, 3, 4. That means if we proc the tier set, you will see it later, or we will look for it afterwards. You can finish. It's really good, interesting. Mark for Death, it's going to be amazing now, kinda, because now it's full combo points. That means if we have 6 or 7, it's not possible now to have 7, of course, but this has some synergy with um, in this case priority, because you can with the tier set echoing reprimand, finish with, in this case, secret technique, and then you get combo points, finish again, and finish again. But now with this, increase all damage on the finishing move to the target by 15%. You want to use this before everything, so you would mark for that, finish, echoing reprimand, finish, and then finish again. It's really good also for things like tornado and dust. Why dust? Because that means you can get it on 2 targets instead of 1. And if you are using black powder to AoE or something like that with tornado, you are getting 15% damage extra on 2 targets instead of 1. That's a 100% increase on the value of this talent. Can do it. Now it only lasts 15 seconds though, so now if mobs die, they have to die in 15 seconds instead of 60. So it's likely if you use it at the beginning of the pool, it won't proc the undeath effect unless it's one of the little mobs, but that means it's also really good. So you get it back, but not for the combo points. You want to use some big mobs because those are the ones you want to take the extra damage. Assassination, we are not going to look at this. We're going to look in another video. Outlaw, same thing. It's going to be quite interesting though. I just did a look around in 2 of these. And for example, Fatal Flourish got a little bit of a nerf, but other things got a good thing. Now, Subletly. They are going to explain here more or less what we talked always in the Discord. Basically, Assassination, Outlaw, and Subtlety had almost the same damage profile. What is damage profile? It means when you look at a log, the curves that you see on the damage, like the peaks and the lows, they were almost the same. We had a big cooldown with our abilities. We peaked at like 200, 300, 400k depending on crits and because of beacon. And then it was like kind of a 30 until our next cooldown. So I'm just going to read this. So if you don't want to read it, I can just tell it for you. Subtlety and Statistics have been in a similar position as Outlaw. The gameplay outcome has been mostly good during Dragonflight so far, but many talents are underused and rigid pacing with insufficient connections have restricted talent options. That means we have like a problem going down. We had like 3 rows to go down and they were really rigid. Like if you began going one way, you will not be able to change the way that you went. And of course, will not be able to ever get the other capstone talents that are really good and cool. Sure. We have changed, redesigned, and added new talents alongside improvements to pathing and interconnections that will hopefully add up to feeling like there is more gameplay diversity and flexibility in the tree. It's true. Now it's really good. There's a lot of choices, and there are really strong talents for really special moments, like Standing Secret, gain an AoE kidney. It's really good. Even if it's a 40-second one. Like for example, with Dust, you can release it at 10 seconds, and then after the air goes away, you can kidney again for 7-8 seconds stun in AoE. Really good. Now, the gameplay has been good. What does it mean? Some people did like spamming Gloomblade and doing big damage because of lingering shadows. The way our cooldowns worked, you could kind of ignore them. The highest seeming build has been DB and DM, in this case, Dark Breed and Dance Macabre in the all three, of course. And you just didn't take any cooldown. Yeah, like you didn't even take the Blades reduction in full single target. because Blades was not a good cooldown. Now it's a really good one. We will see it a little bit lower. So, I mean, some negative trends we hope to address. Of course, that is the builder spammer and seal fade. Thanks God it's dead. You can see no seal fade now. What does it mean? We are not super RNG with crit and getting extra CPs, and that means also that haste gets a little bit of a buff. We want haste a little bit more. Let's say in this case now some Subletly energy and combo point resource have been overflowing. What does it mean? Talents that were really strong, like Shadow Focus, in our time, it has been nerfed 3 times, from 25 to 20 to 15, now it's 10. Reducing energy cost in dance were not that strong. There was a time even when we didn't get improved shadow techniques because we have a lot of energy. We were also using T. It's not likely that we use T now because the new talents are really strong. Of course, I'm putting here Mark for Death, but it's likely that Deeper is also really good. Now, this creates a cascade of issues. Uptime for key cooldowns, shadow dance, higher than expected. You had shadow dance around every 25 seconds. That means it can be that strong. Even after the nerfs to Deepening Shadows. Deepening Shadows, if you didn't remember, is this, where you get cooldown reduction when you use combo points on your shadow dance. Now, of course, that means it's a flat damage profile. So you had damage when you backstabbed with Lingering Shadows, then you had damage when you used Dance, and then when Dance ended, you get damage again from Lingering Shadows, and of course, you still did decent damage. Like Rogue was like middle of the pack. At the beginning, we got good items and we're doing good damage, but then of course other classes got their items and their scaling and everything. So we are doing still decent damage. Of course, in Mythic Plus, we are one of the highest damage dealing classes, even if we didn't have much CC to speak about. That was like AoE important, let's say, or buffs. We only have our poisons. Mind Numbing is really strong, but still not like Mystic Touch or, for example, Chaos Mark. So now improvements means that we are going to kind of go away, or we can choose, because Lingering Shadow is still in the tree, but with other talents that are really strong in the same row and other things, it's not likely right now, at least. Okay, moments of increased intensity and burst with those frequent windows. What did it mean? Of course, we use secret techniques with Cold Blood, and when it didn't have Cold Blood, still was a really good thing to use. So every dance we had a secret technique that did decent damage, and of course we still had our finishers that with shadowed finishers. This one is a little less strong. That's good. We did 40% damage shadow, now it's 25. And of course, that meant that if we had that power every 25 seconds, more or less, it couldn't be that strong. But it was still really good for things that adds spawning or things like that. We just hit sometimes and then use secret technique, and then it ends, and then if that comes again in 30 seconds, we have our power again, unlike classes that have 1 minute or longer cooldowns. General improvements, changes to energy and combo point flow. Now, of course, we will still have our downtime phase. It won't be that catastrophic like Mist of Pandaria or other things where you were stabbing literally for 10 seconds and then using a finisher. No. This is still going to happen, but we will see, because it will likely get iteration and tuning across the PTR. Now let's see the changes. Shadow Step and Black Powder baseline, really good. Black Powder was a really intrusive talent. Then of course you didn't want a single target, but you still had to path down from there if you wanted to get some things. Of course, a single target you just didn't put it. Backstab now it's 40, and Shadow Strike it's 45, and damage increased by 16%. Why this is good? Backstab and Shadow Strike were doing like decent damage, but we still had too much energy. So now, of course, inside dance, that you will still have quite a bit of energy. It's likely now that you would want to pull a little bit, get to 80, 90, maybe 100 if you're playing with vigor, energy. Go into dance if you're not playing the first dance. We don't know still, there are no sims or anything, but Bloom Blade and first dance seem like an interesting choice, let's say. Now, shadow techniques have been adjusted. Now it's different. It doesn't grant combo points immediately. Now you store the combo points up to double your max. What does it mean? If you have 5 max, it's really unlikely, of course, because as sub you will get deeper secret stratagem now instead of deeper. Really likely. I don't think any build will not take this talent. Of course, in the general talent, if you have Mark for Death, it will be different. If you had deeper also in the general talent, you will have 7, so it will be 14. In this case, it will be 12. You had 6 combo points. Abilities that generate combo points can expend any stored combo points to generate extra, up to your max. Energy generator reduced, of course, because this power, it's like anticipation. We had that way back. It was really good. You could plan. And of course, ability that generate. This is important because it could have some things with the new tier set and also with things like other places. Now, if I find weakness, of course, it's 30% of bypassing armor. It's 1 talent, and it's all the way up here. So now you know. Stealth abilities, it means Shadow Strike. Shadow Blades have been adjusted. Now everything deal 20% damage as Shadow. Why this is good? It affects finishers, of course. Finishers still like Eviscerate and Black Powder. But in this case, I think it will also be Rupture. Kind of interesting in this place how it will work, but still is 20% additional damage. And now abilities that generate combo points will generate full combo points. What does it mean? Like abilities like Backstab, Shadow Strike, Shuriken Storm will generate full combo points. It will also mean like if you have more than 1 target, before you couldn't get a full combo point even with Shuriken Storm. So on 2 targets is what it was really weird. Now on 2 targets you can use Backstab or Shadow Strike and still get full combo points. You will likely still want to Shuriken Storm anyway, if it's 3 targets or more, but on 2 it's really good now. Increase healing received by 12%. Here you're likely going to get these 2 because they are really good. Shadow Step also we will see afterwards. Now Shadowcraft, this is a key stone. It's all the way up down here, and you can see while Symbols of Death is active, our technique Shadow Techniques triggers after 1 fewer attack, gets 1 additional combo point, and finishing moves now can't expend these combo points. Why is this important? Before it was ability that generate combo points. Now are abilities that expend expend these stored combo points. It means getting 2 or 3. It's possible between finishers if you have lost and win Fury Totem, things like that. It's going to be really noticeable. And in this case, if you are pulling, it can also help enter dance and finish. It's quite unlikely that you would do that, but there's the possibility to do it. Now, of course, Mouse Bite, we really loved it. Now it has less of an AP scaling, but it's still really good. I don't know if this tooltip is right. Before it was 400, now it's 225 of attack power. We will see if it's with each weapon or if it's just a one hit wonder. Of course, next 3 finishing moves cost no energy and you get 3 combo points. It's likely that they wanted this to have synergy with Dance Macabre, but right now, from I've been told, it still does not give 1 stack. Of course, remember, if you can, report the bug. If it's in the future and it happens, thank everyone that reported the bug. Now, Stunning Secret is the one that I said. Kidney has 100% increased cooldown and energy cost. What does it mean? It means it costs more. Instead of 20, now it's 40, and now instead of 20 seconds, it will be 40 seconds. Shadow clones stun all other nearby enemies. We will need to see the range on this, but it's going to be like 10 or 15 yards. Really good. Warning signs. This is a choice noid with here with plant execution, so you can get, instead of critical strike, you can get haste. May be good because when you are in dance and getting the shadowcraft power, maybe getting 1 extra auto or 2 may be important. Now plant execution, it's a 1 pointer and it's 6% instead of 10. That does mean it makes our current tier set weaker, but that doesn't matter that much, to be honest. Improved Shadow Dance, now it's not a 2 pointer, it's a 1 pointer, and it's always 2 seconds. So now it means we can get this really comfortably. And of course, you can choose between these two. Likely, because Premeditation, Shadow Finishers, and Secret Stratagem are just so good. But Improved Shadow Dance and Plant Execution, we were already skipping Plant Execution on sometimes because of how it felt, like for example Sarkaret or some places like that where there are like some ads and you want stronger dance, get 1 or 2 BPs extra. Well, cool, now you can choose. This is the new kind of thing. Now we can choose. Finally, we don't have like 1 or 2 builds or even 3. Now we can have a lot and even tailor it to different dungeons or encounters. Now Shadow Finishers is a 1 pointer and it's 25% additional instead of 20/40. What does it mean? It means that now instead of always being 40, it's a little bit weaker, but of course with the other talents it's still the same, and with when we are in Shadow Blades it is better. Why? Because now with Shadow Blades also affects Secret Technique. Good. Shadow Focus, and now it's 10%, it was 15. Now you know that from 25, 20, 15, now 10. Because it's a really strong talent that makes our dances go smoother. Now Deepening Shadows, it's 0.5 instead of 0.7. What does this mean? It's likely that our dance cooldown is going to be, instead of 25 seconds, around 40 or so. It won't change much, I think. Now, perforated veins, thanks God they did this change. It was like before, not many people liked it. I didn't either. Praying it as rotten or dust, it was kind of annoying because in AoE or other things, you could get capped, and it didn't help anyway because it was a really low damage buff anyway. So now after you strike 5 times with Gloomblade, your next attack that generates combo points deals 50% increased damage. Now, these may affect Goremo's Bite and Sepsis, but we still don't know. Maybe it won't affect them, and it's still kind of, who knows. Anyway, Shadow Strike is going to do really good damage when we use it. And of course, Rotten, it's not like that we use this, but it's still 50% increase on a builder, and now Shadow Strike hits way harder. It doesn't have the extra CP too, so now using Shadow Strike is really likely a good thing. Lingering Shadows hasn't changed, it's now a 1-pointer, so that means instead of 100% increase that we were had before on the first backstabs, now it's going to be 50%. It's the same rate going down. Deeper Daggers, it's 1-pointer too. Now instead of 8 and 16, it's only 8. And Rotten has been adjusted. That means no longer generates combo points. Now, what does this mean? Of course, it means that it also affects Shuriken Storm. And Shuriken Storm actually hits quite hard in dance. So when we are now using, if anyone ever uses this talent, right now it's quite underpowered in my opinion. You can do a good critical strike Shuriken Storm in AoE. Of course, if you have Silent Storm, you already get 100% crit. So it's doing warranted critical strike, but now because it's way harder to get, it's still really nice. Now, I will look and just explain the talents in the tree again more and why would we take them. This is just a thing I do because I really like dust. This invigorate the shell dust, but there will be iteration, there will be changes, there will be maybe moving around things. Now, of course, the things that you won't see here are Seal Fate because it's dead, it's not here anymore. Now, Teach Facilities hasn't changed, Resounding Clarity hasn't changed, Cold Blood hasn't changed, extra Dance may be important because now instead of 0.7 here, now it's 0.5 on finishers. So getting a dance every 30 something seconds, and instead having 2, that would mean that you could have 2 dances with Circuit Technique without any problems. And then of course you will have like a little bit of downtime, you would hold cooldowns and things like that, but without many changes. You would dance and then have Cold Blood and Mark for Death for every dance, really likely. Of course, our cooldowns that we can get are 2 minutes. Now there's no way to reduce Shadow Blades apart from using Dust. Flagellation is still 1.5, Seps is still 1.5. This is a choice node with inevitability that it's going to be really good now for normal builds because Shadowcraft exists and it's really strong. Having around some extra duration of this buff would mean that we can do more finisher power inside dance. If we have 2 dances, it's going to be really cool. Now we can see the tier set, like you can see the Shaman, Warlock, blah blah blah, Dragon Riding, new things, items, course, things like that, professions, new receipts, hero track is now 6, mythic is now 4, crest currencies will no longer take inventory space, they will be in a separate think on your character. This is not important. PvP, I'm really sorry, I haven't done PvP in a while, but right now tier set is inside the PTR. It may get some changes, of course. You can see it here. This is like an overview of everything. But now let me tell you more or less what the tier set does right at this moment. You have a chance every time you use a finisher to get a shadow clone that does 50% of the damage of the finisher. We still don't know the chance, maybe it will get explained. No, that is the 2 set, and then the 4 set is that when this clone spawns and does the 20%, you get 2 combo points per clone. That means that Secret Technique can give, in this case, because it has 2 clones already, we get 4 combo points. Baseline, of course. If what Reels has said, that it works with it, of course, you can go into the PTR and check, but that will be all for the first thoughts. Quite a long video, but still good changes. We love them.